Right, we've got a 27-inch iMac here, 2011, and we believe we've got logic board problems. So rather than just replace a logic board, we're going to attempt to take this thing to bits and just apply some fresh paste to the heatsink department as the cheapest option to get started, and just see if that has any effect. Now, any of you who already seen some of my videos know that this is a complete do-it-yourself department here. We have a go at fixing our car or mending our house, so this doesn't seem to be any reason why we can't take an iMac to bits. This really is in the deep end, but anyway, we're going to give it a shot, so you're welcome to see what happens. Right, so there's lots of connections here. There's a cable here, I can't remember what that does, that's got to come off. There's another one here. There's a speaker cables left and right there. There's 1, 2, 3 more cables got to come off there. This thing comes out, that's the Wi-Fi gubbins. There's something here got to come out. Another one there. There's something here, I think that's the... no, I don't know what that is. That's got to uncouple. Down here there's 1, 2, and there's something else down there got to come out, and then there are 1, 2 more cables there to come out. I'm not sure if that has to get disconnected. I think it probably does. So quite a few things to take apart. Obviously I'm recording this for my own use apart from anything else, so that I can have a chance of getting it all back in the right order. But anyway, it's going to be interesting. And on top of disconnecting these cables, there are numerous screws here, here, big one in the middle there, something up the top here I think, I'm not sure. There's another screw here, there's another screw over here, I think there's an angled screw there, and when we get this motherboard loose, there are cables in the back of that as well which have to be disconnected. So bit of a challenge. Right, so that's the first thing disconnected. I don't mind confessing that I'm using a big magnifying glass here because my eyes are not that as good as they used to be. So this one says mic. See if we can ease that out. They all have these lugs on them, so we use our Costa coffee thing to see if we can ease that out. No, fingers are better. Okay. Yeah. Okay, maybe a bit on each side. What do you think? Come at this one here. What we don't want to do is let these go down behind the motherboard. Just get your fingernails under there. Don't want them to kind of disappear from view at this stage anyway. Not quite sure what that does. I think these are the speaker. A bit more pressure, there we are. This is, I must say, this is quite scary. This thing has come out from here. That one connects nearby, and then that just leaves these down here. Not quite sure what they do, but they've all got to come out. Good job for people with little fingers, really, this. Okay, that's that one out. Obviously you wouldn't want to get all that trapped behind the motherboard when you put it back together, so it's something to watch out for. There's three connections down here in this left hand corner, all different sizes, so hopefully there won't be too much confusion getting those back together. Right, so there's 3 cables down the bottom left hand corner. There are several along the top here. There's this thing down at the bottom, working our way along. Then there are 1, 2, 3, there's another one there that I haven't actually disconnected yet, and there's these ones down the bottom right hand side. So just see if I can get this off. That was off, actually, just lying there. Right, I think that's everything disconnected, so we can now start undoing these various screws. I think there are 10 of them according to the information I've had. Right, so I've undone the first screw right at the top right hand corner. Now I'm undoing another screw down here on the left, on the very short one, using a pair of long nose pliers to get hold of it, put it in the receptacle there. There's another screw round here on the left. I feel that wants to come out. There's not a massive amount of pressure on these screws. See if we can get this out without dropping it. There we are. Right, there's another screw here. Let's ease this one out. Although this one's slightly longer. That is quite a long one there. Don't think that comes out. There's another big screw in the middle here. I must say, I am extremely nervous about doing this. That's another big long one. Right, so this screw that came out of there is the longest yet, so we've now got 3 different size screws. So that one came out of there. Yes, I'm not quite sure how you remember which go where, but right, let's just see what's holding this together now. So it's obviously still held in with something somewhere. We'll have a hunt around in a minute. Let's see, that's fairly flexible there. I would say there's still some more screws. I think I read somewhere where there's 10. This thing is, it feels as if it would nearly come out. Okay, there seems to be one final screw right up here on the top right hand side by this cool thing, so right up in the top, a tiny little screw that goes through a hole. Careful. Right, and that is, let's have a look. Yeah, that's a mead. Geez, that's yet another size. Okay, so this whole gubbins seems to be coming loose. It's come out of its slots. Behind here there's loads more cables, so I just have to position the light a bit better so I can see what the hell goes on behind here. Okay. Well, we've started, so we'll finish. Okay, there's a big fat one and a not quite so fat, and then something on the right hand side here which seems to have a clip. Right, so behind this motherboard there are 3 connectors, luckily all different sizes. A bit, did I say fiddly? Yeah, fiddly is the actual word you're looking for here. You have to do it left-handed. That's the second one off. That's the third one off. So there are 3 of those, all different sizes, so presumably it's impossible to get them back incorrectly. No, we don't want to get too brutal with it in case something goes astray. Okay, so that has come out now. And along, oh no, that belongs to something else. Thank goodness for that. Okay. Now, I think everything is disconnected now. So we should be able to lift this whole thing out. Let's see. Something else? Yeah. Okay. So there's the motherboard out. Scary. Okay, what we're going to do now is unscrew these 4 screws and remove the heatsink off the logic board, I think that's the word, and see what the state is of the thermal paste. Right, there's the graphics card separated from the heatsink. Now, I'm no expert on this stuff, but it seems to me that this paste, it's all over the place here. It seems to be in places where it probably shouldn't be. There's dollops of it along these small sensors. I don't know what they are, whether they could be sensors, transistors, they could be anything, but the paste seems to have run off there and down here as well. So I'm going to give it a good clean up. Right, I'm no expert on these things, but I've cleaned up the chip and these other thingies and the heatsink. Now, I was told that you use a very thin smear of this stuff, and that chunk there is what I've scraped off. So I would think that some other DIY person has probably had a go in here, a bit like me, and probably overdone it on the gunk. I don't really know, but we've cleaned it all up. We're going to put the thin smear on there this time, put it all back together, and see if we can reinstall this kit. Okay, we've got all this back together again now with fresh paste. It's just a simple matter of putting it all back where it belongs. Now, apparently that goes back in there somewhere, so I guess we want to make sure that the cables aren't all tucked in behind there. Keep the cables out of the way while we, let's see, what did we do last? So we need to drop this into its position and then connect the back cables up first. That's this stuff. I think there was only those three, hopefully. So we interestingly, I don't actually see any slots or anything. This thing just apparently just sits in a place in here. Right. Let's just see which end we're going to start from. I could do with a few more hands actually. I wonder what that one does. I can see some gaps in my memory already, so I just need to refresh myself on this. Okay, that's roughly in its place. I've taken the memory, the RAM out, which comes out from under here, which is slightly fouling proceedings up. There's a small matter of connecting these cables into the back of the motherboard, and you know, sometimes 10 minutes is a long time in my memory cells. So these ones go to the front, and what I remember was 3 different sizes that go in the back of here. Flipping heck. So how the hell do you get your hand in the back of there to do that? Okay. Well, luckily they're all 3 different sizes, so at least feel reasonably confident they're going to go on in the right places. So, bearing in mind it's virtually impossible to see in the back of here, all we can do is use our big fat fingers and hope for the best. Right, that's the smallest one gone in. This is the medium sized one that I'm holding between my 2 very fingertips and try to maneuver into position. Yes, that's the medium sized one, and this is the daddy sized one, which you would think would be the easiest since there's more of it, and it's the highest one up in the chain. Amazing, yeah. These things only will go in one way, and somehow I had it twisted so the slots on the on these connectors only let you put it in the right way, so it's kind of fail-safe, I guess. Now this biggest, fattest one that goes at this end, can't really see what I'm doing. So I'll get the light up a bit higher. Yeah. So that, I don't know what that does. It's main juice, I should think. Yes. Okay, that's in. Right. So, as far as I can tell, that's the back connectors done. Although I can see a tiny little connector. Oh no, that's already connected. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is just make sure this sits in its correct place. And to do that, we're going to have a quick look at the back and make sure the slots are all lined up for the USBs and stuff. They're pretty good actually. So I'm going to decide that I think that board is in its correct place. Obviously we haven't connected any of the cables up yet, so maybe we should do that next. If only we could remember where they all go. And some of them have, some are behind this board. Hello. So what I would do there is use our coffee stirring stick rather than poking the screwdriver in the back, just in case we touch something that's going to be affected by coming into contact with metal like that. Okay, can't quite remember what happens here. I think that's to do with the screen. Right, so right, what have we got? We'll figure this out. I've connected up every piece of cable I can find kicking about. There's 1, 2 there, another one here, plus the infrared thing down here, the microphone, the speakers, the fan. There's 2 fans, one for this optical drive, whatever it's called, another one is a sensor, heat sensor for something. We've connected this thing back up. I think that's for the Wi-Fi. Connected that one up, connected that. There's an empty place here. Hopefully that's something that's not important. There's another tiny one there. So I don't know, what's it, about 10 connections. Hopefully we've got all that done right, and I will now screw the motherboard back into place. If I can figure out the long screws, the medium screws and the shorter screws. So here we go. The screws seem to be in. There's a very long one goes here, medium one goes here, shorter ones seem to go at this end. So I've got all, I believe I've got all the screws in. One comes up here. I've used all the screws up anyway. That's a good sign. I can't see what else to do now except put the screen back on, I suppose. Who knows? I can't see any more cables hanging out anywhere. Nothing seems to be loose. I think it's all there, so we can just, I've put the RAM back in at the bottom here, put it into the front slots. I can't remember if it was in the front or the back, but I'm not sure that makes that much difference. Right, that's all back together again now. The object of the exercise was to replace the thermal paste on the heatsink of the logic board, following a fault that seemed to be occurring, which we blamed on the logic board. This is a 2011 iMac 27-inch which has got a known problem. So rather than just pay £300 or $500 for a logic board, we thought we'd spend a few pennies on some paste and see if that had any effect. So it'll be a miracle if it actually still works, because fixing computers is not really what I do. But as any of my fans know, we don't care. We'll have a go at anything. So we've plugged the juice in. Now here comes the exciting bit. When we fire it up, it could burst into flames, it could start melting down, or it could just go bang, I suppose. So we have absolutely no idea. So I'm going to fire it up and take a couple of paces back. Okay, and what I'm going to also do is plug it in down here. Let's try again. Standing well back. Well, something's happening. Just keep our fingers crossed for the time being. Okay, hello. Well, I can't see any smoke at this stage. I didn't hear a chime. Not sure what that means. Maybe the volume's just turned down. Should we say that? So that's working. Let's just fire up something. Photoshop. Temperature is running at 35 degrees at the moment. Let's see why there was no chime. The volume was turned down to 0. Well, thanks very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. If you think that was interesting, helpful or very comedic, well, why not subscribe, and you might find some more quality videos coming your way very, very soon. Thanks again for watching. Please subscribe and have a nice day.